Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to some Toronto Raptors news. That's right, we have a Toronto Raptors news update to break down. It's coming by way of Shams, none other than Shams, and the Raptors are officially re-signing guard Armoni Brooks signing him to a guaranteed contract for the rest of this season and a partial guarantee next year. I'll pull up the official tweet there from Shams so we can dive into the whole nitty-gritty. Right, the Toronto Raptors are signing guard Armoni Brooks, 2-year contract. Deal includes a partial guarantee for 2022-2023. The sharpshooter finds a home in Toronto after stints in Houston, scoring 20 points in the last 3 games. So this is some people are going to be surprised potentially by this. Some people might not think it's a big deal, but when you consider what the Toronto Raptors currently have at their roster and all the drama that has been happening on the deep bench for this team in terms of who's getting spots, who's getting cuts, particularly when you look back to the start of the season with Ishmael Wainwright, with Sam Decker ended up getting cut, Bonga getting a roster spot, Champagnie looking better than most of them, and him still being on a 2-way contract. We're not sure what happened with David Johnson. The guy that's getting that roster spot that opened up, or that we've had open when we waived Sam Decker, and we thought we were maybe going to get some more stuff when we got rid of Dragic. However, this final roster spot, it is going to Armoni Brooks. Now, this is interesting because a lot of people, there were high expectations, particularly when our guy, Champagnie was balling out for a large chunk of the season, that he would be the guy that gets his contract converted to a full-time contract, so he'll be playoff eligible, rather than a guy that we picked up on the waiver wire or something like that. But no, it's officially Armoni Brooks that's going to be available for our team this season, and this is interesting, and we'll dive into the stats for the players. Shout out, and first, congratulations to Armoni Brooks. Definitely is deserving of an NBA contract the way he's playing. But you look at his stats, right? This is his stats for the entire season. 5 points per game, 2 rebounds, and assist, right? Shooting 30% from the three-point line. Not the greatest for a guy that's, known to be a sharp shooter, right? 30% isn't great by any means, and if you look at his stats as a Toronto Raptors, well, in 8 games played, they aren't super electrifying by any means, right? 3 points per game, 1 rebound, half an assist, 29% from 3 with the Toronto Raptor himself. So you look at the box score and you say, okay, this is a little bit weird, especially when you compare him to a guy in the likes of Justin Champagnie, who himself, again, the box score is not that electrifying by any means, 2 points, 2 rebounds, but Champagnie shooting 35% from 3 and all that, but I think the last 3 games, as Shams put in that tweet, really solidified his position on this team and his reputation as a scorer in the past. Last season, averaged 11 points per game for the Houston Rockets, and I'm happy. I'm happy that Armoni Brooks is coming in. He deserves a contract, and people might be wondering, 2-year contract for a guy you picked up off the waiver wire, averaging 2 points for your team. Is that smart? Well, it's similar to the type of contract we gave Freddie Gillespie last season, and in terms of we can work him out the summer, he can play on our summer league team, he can come into training camp and all that sort of stuff, but then we sort of figure it out if he can fit the roster or if not, if he has his place, right? That's going to be the path for Armoni Brooks. But, I'm cool with it. I'm intrigued by Armoni Brooks because last season, of course, 11 points per game was already brought up, shot 38% from the 3-point line. Now, this year, the percentages have plunged down, but in the previous 3 games, we've seen him hit some shots which have been timely, some tough deep threes. The form looks nice. It's a Terrence Ross-looking-esque form. It's a bit clean. It comes over his head and all that sort of stuff. It's aesthetically pleasing to look at, and those are usually, solid shooters. They usually turn to come out of slumps. But the thing that really got Armoni Brooks, is won over on terms of fan side, why fans have been, appreciative of Armoni Brooks' performances is the defensive end of the floor. And he was branded as one of those guys that can come in, be a bucket and all that, but really his best performances have been on the defensive end. The way he guards, he's hustling, he's blocking shots, some big blocks in our game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and in the previous outing has hit some clutch threes. As Sham said, in the past 3 games, he scored 20 points. A lot of those have come into the fourth quarter during winning time, during times when you want to have your guys cooking and rolling. So that's why he earned that spot, and yeah, I think everyone agrees. He's a guy that deserves to be on NBA roster, and we're happy to have him on this team. But the real question where people will be conflicted about, and I brought up their stats, I compared their stats earlier, is Armoni Brooks, Armani suits, Armoni Brooks, whatever, better than Champagnie Poppy? Right? Is he a guy that you'd rather have on your team? Now, if I had to sort of pick a player in a vacuum, who would I rather have on the squad, right? Just, I'm starting a team, and my first pick is Armoni Brooks or Champagnie Poppy. I'd still probably go Justin Champagnie because he's been a higher percentage three-point shooter this season. That's something you got to factor in. They're both solid defenders. They're both very capable, but Justin Champagnie has one skill where he is absolutely elite, and that's rebounding at the guard position. I think Armoni Brooks, he still has to prove that he has, that one elite skill that can reliably get him minutes on the court. Champagnie has that. So in a vacuum, long-term, I'm probably rocking out with Justin Champagnie. However, you look at the context of this Toronto Raptors team as currently constructed. We don't have a lot of guys that can sort of, it's not that he score first because he's really been more of a defender for us, but, they have that smooth offensive game. And even though the percentages, the numbers, I know people, I'm a numbers guy, I'm a computer scientist and all that sort of stuff, love the analytics, but the eye test has to be taken into account. And Armoni Brooks just seems like a guy, he's taken a little bit more difficult threes, some shots off the dribble. He's a bit more confident with the shots, and on the offensive end, just looks a little bit smoother. And the Toronto Raptors have lots of long, wiry, athletic players that can get rebounds, can play defense, can do the things that, we have our mold as Toronto Raptors guys that we know Justin Champagnie fits that mold perfectly. But with the exception of Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, to a certain extent, we don't have many guys, and Malachi Flynn, that can just sort of go out there, get you a bucket, can sort of create for their own. And I know he's been more of a three-point shooter, more of a spacer, but the fact that he's proven himself on the defensive end, he seems to take the right shots. He doesn't force much out there on the offensive end, and he averaged 11 points per game last season, and the jumper looks smooth. That's a skill that you probably want to have in your deep bench if the offense gets stagnant. Because what has happened? What has happened when the Toronto Raptors have lost games this season? It's never the defense. I can only recall a couple games this year where our defense looks subpar. It's our offense just goes cold, right? We get freeze, and none of those shots end up going down. So having a guy off the bench that you can sort of throw in there, shake things up, space the floor from the three-point line, and do that sort of thing while not losing anything on the defensive end. I'm cool with this signing of Armoni Brooks. That's something that I'm definitely happy with the Toronto Raptors. Bringing him back, he's deserving of a contract. He's played well, and three-point shooters usually take some time to get comfortable. He's going to get a lot more open shots, too, with the likes of OG, Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet consistently back in the lineup. So, smart move, I think, for Masai Ujiri this season. Long-term, I'm probably rocking out with Justin Champagnie, but who knows? Who knows? We'll see how they end up playing out. Hopefully, we can keep both of those guys long-term. But let me know what you guys think about this signing in the comment section below. Are you happy we brought him back on a 2-year contract with the guarantee next season? Let me know. I'm interested to see what the debate is, what the discourse is on the Champagnie versus Armoni Brooks topics. Check out the Instagram, the Twitter, the TikTok, all of that cool stuff. It's enough of me rambling. You guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.